Me, 29M, with my girlfriend 28F of 2 years. Her mom wants her to explore other options. It's wearing us down. A little background. I met her mother at a wedding once, and things did not go as well as they should have. Not that it was a bad experience, and I didn't make a fool of myself in any way. I simply didn't chat to her as much as she would have wanted, I believe. I was merely concerned with my buddies and the usual wedding shenanigans at the time. As far as we know, this is our first and only face-to-face encounter. Fortunately, I've met the father a few times and we get along well. That happened a year ago, and she has maintained a mild hate for me ever since. She doesn't dislike me, but she didn't give me a second chance after the first. The fact that she had a heated argument with my girlfriend about how I am not the right one and how my girlfriend should date other people has recently come to light. Apparently, these confrontations have been going on every time they come to town or whenever my girlfriend meets them, at least once or twice a month, and they became especially hot last week, according to reports. According to my girlfriend's mother, she had a nervous breakdown around halfway through the talk while my girlfriend was defending me and explaining why she loved me. She is stubborn is an understatement, and I feel that is an understatement. Similarly, she behaves in the same way with my GF's father, often saying how she could have lived her life differently if he hadn't been there, how she wishes she had dated more people, and so on. By the way, they were in their late 30s when they were married. So now there's this dude, whose name I don't know, and who I have no clue who he is. My girlfriend's mother is acquainted with him via one of her son's friends. She is continuously pleading with my girlfriend to accompany him on a date, and she gets even more pushy every time my girlfriend brings up the subject of me. It took a long time, but my girlfriend eventually consented to the date. That going on one date with him and then explaining to her mother why she didn't like him would be the ideal solution to the problem, she argues. While you read this, the date is being finalized. I'm torn since, of course, I was the one who disagreed. When I asked my partner what she would think if I did that, she responded that it would be very hurtful to her. I realize it's just one date, but the thought of another guy trying to seduce my fiancé makes me sick to my stomach. In addition, if I give up my self-respect by giving in, her mother will always be the one to all over me. I investigated every potential possibility and even pushed my girlfriend to notify the guy that she is already dating someone else if that was her preference. When she said that she did not want to ruin the date by stating that I felt outraged, I was shot down no matter how hard I tried to come up with a counter-argument, which led me to feel that my GF's mother had finally gotten into her head and she now wanted to date other people. If the date approaches quickly, she even said, well, if it approaches quickly, I can't say no, when I pleaded with her to allow us some time by delaying the date until we could come up with a sensible solution. She did, however, make a thoughtful suggestion. She should write her mother a letter alerting her that I am aware of the issue and would welcome the opportunity to meet with her in the future. All I have is a brief and succinct letter outlining why we've come so far and how important the topic is to me. I've already done so, and I aim to send it out when we both had a chance to review it. However, I think that the situation has already worn us down to the point where we both feel as if we are operating on completely separate frequencies all of the time. One of the most difficult aspects of this situation is that we had a wonderful connection with one another and had never done anything to injure one another until something came up and made things uncomfortable between us. No matter what I do or how I approach it, I'm at a loss on what to do. As a result of our efforts to buy time, my partner is despondent, and it has taken a psychological toll on the two of us. At all costs, I don't want her to go on the date. I never forgive myself for allowing it to happen without first adopting my own strategy. Thanks to everyone for your responses. Please know that I have read and considered every single one of them while at work, and that I will do my best to respond to each as soon as I'm able. If my girlfriend does decide to go on the date, I would want to point out that she is doing so against her better judgment and plans to get it over with as soon as possible. That doesn't make it any more acceptable, but I thought it would be fair to provide some further clarification. The woman's mother does not want us to quit our relationship, but she feels that my girlfriend should keep the door open until she decides who she wants to be with. The fact that her mother is telling herself that this is not true is ridiculous for two reasons. First, my girlfriend has dated a lot and knows what she wants, and second, we've been getting along really well for the last 2 years, and for some reason her mother is telling herself that this is not true. Underlying issues that might arise. Edit #3. I'd want to express my gratitude to everyone who has participated in this dialogue with me. When she returns to town, I have a pretty clear concept of what I want to do with myself. I will provide an update when we have had a chance to discuss it more. In the meanwhile, I encourage you to place your trust in the individuals who are important to you. Update. So I had a conversation with my girlfriend last night in which I basically told her that she needed to put her foot down now or else we'd be stuck dealing with her mother's poison for the rest of our days. After 2 hours of arguing over it, she finally conceded that she couldn't do that to her mother. When she refused to stand up to me, I told her that her mother would take over every other aspect of her life and continue to cause her and anybody else she chooses to date terrible anguish. Then it was discovered that the day I had indicated in the post had already been set, and she had agreed to meet with him on that day as well. It was at this point that I lost my cool and informed her she was being disrespectful to me, our relationship, and herself. She also said that her mother had deceived her into believing that having an open relationship was a positive experience. I've completely lost all regard and confidence in her, and there's no way for me to reclaim it. She agreed to make a compromise by agreeing to go on one coffee date with this guy, just one, and then we take a month off from dating altogether. I agreed to the compromise in order to bring the situation to a close gracefully, but I informed her that the chances of her seeing me again were little to none as I walked out the door. Her tears streamed down her face, and for the first time in my life, I felt sad for her. I consoled her as she was sobbing, but my mind had already checked out by that point. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next month has in store for me. She mentioned that she would want to keep in touch with me in some way, but I have no plans to contact her anytime soon. Just to be clear, I'm furious because I accidentally left many novels there that I was in the middle of reading. Maybe I'll just call her in a few months and arrange for her to pick up my books. What hurts the most is that we had such a strong connection in the first place. We got along well, our arguments were few and far between, and they almost always ended on a happy note, as was the case with our relationship. It had been a wonderful relationship until it was shattered by an external force of nature. It hurts because I had no control and was forced to give up an incredible connection in order to appease someone who only matters up to a certain point in time. I just feel defeated, as if I never had a chance to defend myself or fight back against what has happened. I might understand if we didn't like one another, but that wasn't the case. For the record, I will admit that this breakup will be painful for a while. I have never been in a situation like this before. It was so wonderful that it swiftly developed into a train derailment and disaster on the tracks. Update. Wow, thank you so much for your lovely words. I really appreciate them all. Simply put, I did not agree to the compromise because I'm a nice man at heart and did not want to walk out of the room with a big attached to the story as a result of my refusal to accept it. Please bear in mind that we had some incredible experiences together, and that I continue to feel she is a compassionate person, maybe not to me or to herself, but we're all human after all. I only accepted the compromise on a half-hearted basis in order for us to be able to part ways peacefully. Of course, I will not take her back after a month or follow through on the arrangement.